Hello and welcome. We are Mike and Heather and we are in our 2013 Ford Transit Connect. We actually purchased our van last year with the grand hopes of being digital nomads and have been slowly working towards that goal for the last year now. Kind of the last puzzle piece that we really need in order to hit the road for our long road trip travels that we have this upcoming summer is internet. We both work remotely online and definitely need that in order to travel and really make this van life dream a reality.
We thought we would share with you our kind of journey to getting internet into the van and what we ended up going with. We knew that we were going to have to consider 3 different things for any plan or any device that we ended up going with. The first one being high speed. So we needed internet that was going to be fast enough to keep up with the demands of our remote work. The second thing that we needed was coverage. We went into this without having the expectation of being able to get complete coverage over the entirety of the United States. We realized that that's not necessarily going to happen, but what we did know that we need would be the ability to at least get to a small town or a city that would have some kind of bars for us to log into work and not miss any time because of that, or not feel like we had to drive hours and hours to get to a place where we had coverage. The last thing to consider was having an unlimited plan. So a lot of plans are kind of advertised as unlimited data and they won't cut you off after a certain point, but they will throttle you. We wanted to make sure that whatever plan we went with wouldn't throttle us after a certain point, because that slowdown would be problematic in terms of our ability to do our jobs.
With all of that in mind, we started researching and went down the Reddit rabbit hole, the YouTube rabbit hole, and every blog that we could find talking about internet with van life options, internet RV options. Thankfully, we were able to continue our research and find something that we hope is going to checkmark all those boxes off.
What we ended up finding checked the 3 boxes that I mentioned, and also the 4th one that was kind of an unofficial one, and that is we're not experts, so we needed something that was going to be easy enough for us to understand how to do it.
Dummy proof.
Yes, that was dummy proof, and that we would be able to just kind of turn on and have access to. One that kind of jumped out for us in terms of meeting all of our needs was a plan through the Calyx Institute. And if you're asking what is the Calyx Institute, we asked the same thing when we first heard of that, because it's not a cell phone plan provider like Verizon or T-Mobile or AT&T. It's actually a non-profit organization that offers an internet package as a membership perk to people who donate at a certain threshold. It is kind of a weird setup, but the gist of it is for the membership, depending on the level, you can get an associated device that you have to use with this plan, and with it you get a year's worth of truly unlimited internet. There's no throttling after a certain amount of gigs used. There's no issues in terms of when you can use it or how you can use it. You just have to use the device and the SIM card that they send you, and it works for the entirety of the year. The Calyx Institute actually has Sprint as its provider, but with T-Mobile's acquisition of Sprint as a company, you now have access to both of those towers. So you have T-Mobile coverage as well as Sprint. So anywhere those towers are active, you get coverage, which is actually really good because T-Mobile has some of the best 5G coverage, and with the 5G internet, it definitely meets the speed requirements that we had. And with T-Mobile and Sprint coverage, it answered the need for kind of widespread coverage across the country. So that was really great, and obviously truly unlimited meant that we weren't ever going to have to worry about throttling. One of the things that I think is important to be aware of is the potential things that could go wrong with it being a nonprofit that is offering internet as a little bit of a loophole. Because it's a nonprofit that's sort of grandfathered in with how it's able to offer this internet, if there were ever to be anything that affected that kind of loophole, you would sort of be left without anything to have with it, because you paid a donation and that's sort of the end of it. You're not paying a monthly plan. This is just a perk as part of being a member. So there's not really any guarantees with it aside from as long as it's going, you're okay. But if it's not, you're kind of left holding the bag.
Which, knock on wood, hopefully won't be the case, and this will always exist.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's anything that would indicate T-Mobile and Sprint aren't going to continue to be involved with the Calyx Institute, but it's just something to be aware of as a potential pitfall as opposed to a traditional cell phone mobile hotspot. So we figured we'd kind of show some of the plans and just which one we ended up going with and why we did that. So here we are at the Calyx Institute website. So you'll click on the membership tab and that should bring you to this page, and you can can click over on the left side at Calyx Internet Membership. And so this describes the different levels. So the basic one is the contributor one. It's $500 for the first year, $400 after that, and with that first year payment, you get a 4G Wi-Fi hotspot, and you can pick between the Franklin T9 or the Link Zone 2. This middle level isn't currently available, and so the Sustainer is actually the one that we went with, and so it's $750 for the first year, and with that you get the Inseego M2000 mobile hotspot, which is actually a 5G mobile hotspot, which is why we went with this one, because it offers that faster internet option. And you can see here 4G and 5G Wi-Fi hotspot with this plan. So following that first payment, it's only $500 a year, which is actually not bad compared to other high-speed internet plans with the mobile hotspot. $750 is a lot to pay upfront for sure. That's something that I think we're fortunate that we're in a position that we can do that, and we understand that that's not something that everyone can do. But with it, you get the mobile hotspot, which I think retails over $300, anywhere from $315 to $330. And if you take away the $500 a year that you would pay for internet, you actually get a bit of a deal on this if you consider it being $250. So that's kind of nice. With this though, if I go up here on this information page, it also has a coverage map. And so this was good because, again, that was something that was important to us. If you look, it operates under T-Mobile's coverage map because T-Mobile acquired Sprint. And so this is their 5G and 4G coverage map. But you can see there is very good coverage, especially on the eastern side. It gets a little bit more sparse as we get over to the west side of the country, but I think that there's still more than enough for us to be able to get through these areas without worrying about being without coverage or internet access. A lot of the blogs and different posts that we saw describing people's internet setup was that they did have a couple of layers. So this will be our primary internet while we're in the van, but we always have the fallback of our mobile hotspots through our Verizon plan. So if we can't get coverage through T-Mobile and Sprint, we do have our Verizon phones that would offer something if we ever got to that point. One of the things that is worth noting with this is it does have a USB-C input, so you can run this off of a charger and it'll obviously run continuously, or it does have a battery life of about a day. So what we were thinking is we'll probably keep it charged, and then if we need to, or if we for any reason don't have access to power, we'll still have internet for at least a day, as this is able to run independently and without battery.
If you're wondering where we're actually going to store this device in our van, we are going to store it on the side of our shelf here. So if you look, it'll be stored down here in this little net thing. So it actually fits perfectly in here. So we'll be able to store it there, which will give us access to the cord for our Jackery, which is now under there, to be able to charge it when it needs charging. And that'll be good because once we pull out our bed, we'll be able to have access to it if our van is in bed mode. But then it's also very easy to like just pull out and then throw in the safe underneath our bed for when we're not in our van. So all in all, we really just wanted to sit down and have this conversation about our internet to kind of show you and our thoughts behind choosing an internet type. Now, we are not by any means saying that this is the best option to go with. We just think that this is going to be the best option for us moving forward and hope that that is true. So if any of you have experience with this provider, please leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear what your experience is like, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And if any of you currently have internet in your van that is not this provider, also leave that down below because it's always nice to have options just in case.
If you have any questions, it may be better to ask
them.
Well, we'll do our best. You may be better off asking them somewhere else, but we'll do our best.
Yeah. What we can do is put the link to the channel of the videos that we were watching that kind of went through a lot of different internet options that allowed us to pick whichever one that we thought was best for us, which is the Calyx one that we've now decided to go with. It's exciting to have our internet figured out because that definitely was a point of stress and anxiety for a while because we really want to hit the road, but we can't do that if we don't have the means to be able to work and be on the road. So we really hope that this is going to be the solution for that. As always, thank you all for watching. We really do appreciate having you here to come along on this journey with us, and we'll see you next time.